What if the difference between an average life and an extraordinary life is decided in the first 30 minutes after you wake up? Think about that for a second. Not your talent, not your connections, not even your intelligence. Just the way you start your morning. Right now, somewhere in the world, two people are waking up at the same exact moment. One hits the snooze button 3 times, scrolls through social media, rushes through the day feeling behind, stressed, reacting to everything. The other wakes up with intention, with clarity, with purpose. That person decides how the day will unfold before the world even has a chance to interrupt. And here is the shocking truth most people never realize. Success rarely begins with a big moment. It begins with a small decision made consistently every morning. Your morning routine is not just about productivity, it is about identity. It is about telling yourself, before anyone else does, who you are and what kind of life you are building. Most people wake up and immediately give their attention away. Notifications, messages, emails, news. They let the world dictate their emotional state before they even get out of bed. And then they wonder why their days feel chaotic. But highly effective people understand something different. They know the first moments of the day are sacred. Those moments shape the energy, the focus, and the discipline that follow for the next 16 hours. Imagine waking up and instead of reacting to life, you begin by creating it. Imagine starting your day with clarity about your goals, with control over your mindset, with the quiet confidence that you are moving forward, even while the rest of the world is still distracted. That is the power of a morning routine. And here is something even more interesting. The routine itself is not magic. It is the signal you send to your brain. It says, today matters, my life matters, my purpose matters. Small actions repeated every morning become powerful habits. Powerful habits become character. And character becomes destiny. But here is where most people get it wrong. They think a morning routine means waking up at 5 in the morning, running 10 miles, drinking green juice, reading 5 books, and meditating for an hour. That is not the point. The real power is not in copying someone else's routine. The real power is in building a system that aligns your mind, your energy, and your purpose before the world starts pulling you in 1,000 different directions. Because the truth is simple. If you do not design your morning, the world will design it for you. Before the world starts making demands on you, before the noise, the pressure, the endless notifications begin, there is a small window of time that belongs only to you. And most people waste it without even realizing it. Think about how your morning usually begins. The alarm rings. You reach for the phone. Your brain instantly fills with other people's lives, other people's problems, other people's expectations. And before your feet even touch the ground, your mind is already scattered. Now imagine starting differently. Imagine waking up and the first voice you listen to is your own. Because here is something most people think success is about: what you do during the day, the meetings you attend, the work you complete, the opportunities you chase. But the truth is much deeper than that. Success is not built in the middle of the day when everything is chaotic. Success is quietly built in the morning when no one is watching. The morning is the only time of the day when your mind is still clear, when the world has not yet placed its weight on your shoulders. It is the one moment where you have the power to choose who you are going to be before life starts demanding your attention. Think about the greatest performers in any field. Athletes, leaders, creators, entrepreneurs. They all understand one simple principle. Discipline is easier when it begins before distractions appear. When the world is quiet, your focus becomes powerful, your mind becomes sharper, your decisions become intentional instead of reactive. But most people miss this opportunity because they believe mornings are just another part of the day. They treat the beginning of their day the same way they treat the end of it: rushed, distracted, unplanned. And that small mistake slowly shapes their entire life. Because when you start the day without direction, the day controls you. When you start the day without intention, other people's priorities become your priorities. And suddenly you reach the evening feeling exhausted, but somehow nothing meaningful moved forward. The difference between people who grow and people who stay stuck is rarely talent. It is rarely luck. The real difference is structure. Structure creates freedom. When you build a simple routine in the morning, you remove the chaos from your decision making. You no longer ask yourself what you should do. You already know. You wake up with purpose. You move with clarity. You protect your focus. And here is something fascinating about the human brain. It loves patterns. When you repeat the same positive behaviors every morning, your brain begins to expect them. What once felt difficult becomes automatic. That is how confidence is built. Not through motivation. Motivation is temporary. It fades when you feel tired, stressed, or uncertain. Confidence grows from evidence. And every morning you follow through on your routine. You give yourself proof that you are someone who keeps promises to yourself. That proof changes the way you see your life. Instead of hoping the day goes well, you begin to create the conditions that make it successful. And slowly, without even noticing it at first, your mornings stop feeling like a struggle. They start feeling like an advantage. There is a moment every morning that most people ignore, but it quietly determines the quality of their entire day. It is the moment between waking up and taking your first action. In that tiny space of time, your brain is incredibly powerful. Your thoughts are fresh. Your mind is not yet crowded with worries, responsibilities, or distractions. And the decision you make in that moment sets the tone for everything that follows. Most people lose that moment. They wake up and immediately rush into reaction mode. They check messages. They scroll through social media. They look at emails that create stress before the day has even started. Within minutes, their focus is broken and their energy is scattered. And then they spend the rest of the day trying to recover the clarity they lost in the first 10 minutes. But people who build powerful lives do something very different. They protect that moment like it is one of the most valuable assets they have. Because they understand something important. The morning is not just the start of the day. The morning is the foundation of your mindset. When you begin the day with intention, your brain shifts into a completely different state. Instead of reacting to problems, you begin creating solutions. Instead of feeling rushed, you feel grounded. Instead of chasing time, you begin to control it. Think about a pilot preparing for a long flight. Before the plane ever leaves the ground, there is a checklist. Systems are checked, direction is confirmed, fuel is measured, the destination is clear. No pilot would ever take off without preparation. Yet every day, millions of people start their day without a mental checklist. They jump straight into activity without first aligning their focus, their priorities, and their energy. And when you skip preparation, you invite chaos. A simple routine changes that completely. It does not need to be complicated. In fact, the most powerful routines are often the simplest. A few minutes of silence, a moment to think about your goals, a short walk to wake up your body, a clear decision about the most important thing you want to accomplish that day. These small actions may look insignificant, but they create something powerful. They create control over your attention, control over your emotions, control over the direction of your day. And when you repeat that process every morning, something remarkable begins to happen. Your mornings stop feeling rushed. Your mind becomes sharper. And you begin to realize that the first victory of the day is simply taking control before the world tries to take it from you. There is a story that perfectly explains why mornings matter so much. A young professional once asked a highly successful leader a simple question. What is the biggest difference between people who achieve extraordinary things and people who stay stuck in the same place? The leader paused for a moment and then said something surprising. It is not intelligence, it is not talent. It is how they begin their day. At first, that answer sounded too simple. But the more the young professional paid attention, the more he started noticing a pattern. People who were constantly stressed, overwhelmed, and reactive had chaotic mornings. They woke up late, rushed through everything, skipped planning, and began the day already feeling behind. But people who were calm, focused, and consistently moving forward had a completely different relationship with their mornings. They treated the beginning of the day like preparation for something important. Because that is exactly what it is. Think about a professional athlete before a championship game. They do not walk into the arena and hope they perform well. They warm up, they stretch, they focus their mind, they prepare their body. Why? Because preparation creates performance. And your morning routine is the mental and emotional warm-up for your life. When you wake up with intention, you are preparing your mind to face challenges with clarity. You are preparing your energy to stay strong throughout the day. You are preparing your focus so that distractions do not easily pull you away from what truly matters. But when you skip that preparation, the opposite happens. You begin the day scattered. Your mind jumps from one thing to another. You react to every small problem. By the time the afternoon arrives, your energy is already drained. And then people say something interesting. They say they do not have enough time to improve their life. But the truth is not about time. It is about how the day begins. Just 30 intentional minutes in the morning can change everything. 30 minutes of quiet thinking, 30 minutes of movement, 30 minutes of clarity about what actually matters. Those 30 minutes act like a compass. They point your mind in the right direction before the day starts moving. And when your direction is clear, your decisions become easier. You waste less time. You focus more deeply. You move forward with purpose instead of confusion. Over days, weeks, and months, that simple habit compounds into something powerful. It creates momentum. And momentum is what turns ordinary days into extraordinary progress. Most people believe big life changes come from big dramatic actions. They wait for the perfect opportunity, the perfect motivation, the perfect moment to finally transform their life. But the truth is far less dramatic and far more powerful. Real transformation comes from small actions repeated consistently over time. And the morning is where those actions begin. Think about the direction of a ship in the ocean. If the captain adjusts the steering wheel by just a few degrees, the ship does not suddenly change direction in the next 5 minutes. At first, it still looks like it is going the same way. But hours later, that tiny adjustment has completely changed the destination. Your morning routine works the same way. The small choices you make when you wake up may not feel life-changing in the moment. 5 minutes of reflection, 10 minutes of movement, a few moments spent thinking about your goals. These actions seem simple, almost too small to matter. But over time, they quietly redirect your life. Because when you start your morning with clarity, you naturally make better decisions during the day. When you move your body early, your energy stays stronger for longer. When you remind yourself of your purpose, distractions lose their power. Small morning habits begin influencing everything that follows. They shape how you respond to stress. They shape how focused you stay on your work. They even shape how confident you feel about the future. And this is where most people underestimate the power of routine. They look for instant results. They try something for 3 days, maybe 5 days, and when nothing dramatic happens, they stop. They believe it is not working. But the real magic of a morning routine is not visible immediately. It builds slowly, quietly, like compound interest. Every day you follow through, you strengthen your discipline. Every day you start with intention, you sharpen your focus. Every day you choose growth instead of distraction, you reinforce the identity of someone who is moving forward. Weeks pass and suddenly you notice something different. Your mind feels clearer. Your decisions feel easier. You are less reactive to small problems. You begin accomplishing things that once felt overwhelming, not because of a sudden breakthrough, but because of consistent alignment. And the most powerful part is this. When your mornings change, your identity begins to change. You stop seeing yourself as someone trying to improve your life. You begin seeing yourself as someone who is already in control of it. There is another powerful shift that happens when you build a strong morning routine, and most people never talk about it. It is not just about productivity. It is about ownership. Ownership of your time, ownership of your mindset, ownership of the direction your life is moving. Most people wake up already feeling behind. The alarm rings, and the first emotion they feel is pressure. Pressure to rush, pressure to respond, pressure to catch up with everything that is already waiting for them. So they spend the entire day reacting to emails, reacting to problems, reacting to other people's expectations. And when you live in reaction mode long enough, something dangerous happens. You start believing you have no control over your life. But that belief is not true. What is actually happening is much simpler. The day is starting before you take control of it. A powerful morning routine changes that completely. When you wake up and intentionally give yourself time to think, move, and prepare, you shift from reaction to creation. Instead of chasing the day, you begin leading it. Even something as simple as 10 minutes of quiet thinking can transform the way your brain works. During that time, you can ask yourself powerful questions. What truly matters today? What is the one thing that would make today meaningful? What kind of person do I want to show up as? These questions create awareness, and awareness creates better decisions. Because once you know what matters, it becomes much easier to ignore what does not. Suddenly, distractions feel less important. Small problems feel less overwhelming. You start moving through the day with clarity instead of confusion. And people around you begin to notice something different about your energy. You are calmer. You are more focused. You are less reactive, not because your life suddenly became easier, but because you prepared your mind before stepping into the challenges of the day. Preparation is powerful. Every great performance begins long before the spotlight appears. Athletes prepare before the game. Musicians rehearse before the concert. Leaders think carefully before making important decisions. Your morning routine is your personal preparation for life. It is the quiet training ground where discipline is built, focus is strengthened, and purpose becomes clear. And the more consistently you protect that time in the morning, the more you begin to realize something incredible. You are not just starting your day. You are shaping your future. There is a reason the most disciplined people in the world protect their mornings so carefully. It is not because they have more time than everyone else. It is because they understand the value of interrupted focus. During the day, your attention is constantly under attack. Messages appear, phones ring, people ask questions, unexpected problems show up. The world pulls your mind in dozens of different directions. But early in the morning, something rare exists. Silence, and in that silence, your mind has the ability to think deeply, to reflect, to plan, to connect with the bigger vision of your life instead of getting lost in small daily distractions. This is where real clarity is built. When you sit quietly for even a few minutes and think about your goals, something powerful begins happening inside your brain. Your priorities become clearer. Your decisions become sharper. You stop drifting through the day and start moving with direction. Without clarity, effort becomes wasted energy. You can work hard for hours, even years, and still feel like you are not moving forward. But when your mind is clear about what truly matters, even small actions begin pushing your life in the right direction. That is why the morning routine is not about doing many things. It is about doing the right things before the noise begins. Sometimes it is simply writing down your most important goal. Sometimes it is reading something that strengthens your mindset. Sometimes it is moving your body so your energy wakes up along with your mind. These actions look simple, but they activate different parts of your brain. Movement increases energy. Reflection strengthens awareness. Learning expands perspective. Together, they prepare you for the challenges ahead. And here is the interesting part. When you begin your day this way, the rest of the day feels different. Problems that once felt overwhelming start looking like puzzles you can solve. Difficult conversations feel easier because your mind is calm. Even your creativity improves because your brain is already awake and engaged. You start experiencing something many people rarely feel: control over your attention. In a world where distractions are everywhere, the ability to focus deeply has become one of the most valuable skills a person can develop. And every morning you practice your routine, you are training that skill. You are teaching your brain that your attention is not owned by the world. It is owned by you. Here's the truth: most people don't realize motivation is unreliable. Some days it shows up, some days it doesn't. Some mornings you wake up full of energy, and other mornings you feel drained before you even get out of bed. If you rely on motivation to create your life, you will always be at the mercy of how you feel in that moment. That's why the morning routine is not about motivation. It is about discipline. It is about creating a system that works even when you do not feel like it. A system that builds momentum regardless of how tired, stressed, or overwhelmed you may be. Think about it. Every successful person you admire did not wake up one day and suddenly become extraordinary. They became extraordinary because they repeated the right actions over and over. Every morning, consistently, even when they didn't feel like it. A morning routine is the engine of that consistency. It signals to your brain, this is how I start my day. This is who I am. The small habits you perform in the first hour of your day create a ripple effect that shapes everything that follows. And it is not just about productivity. It is about emotional resilience. It is about preparing your mind to stay calm in chaos, your body to stay energized in challenges, and your focus to remain on what matters most. The reality is this life will always try to pull you away from your priorities. Distractions, emergencies, and other people's demands are constant. Without a morning routine, you are simply reacting. You are letting the day dictate your results instead of creating them. But when you start your day intentionally, you are in control. You wake up with purpose. You align your thoughts, your energy, and your actions before the world has a chance to hijack them. And here's the beauty: small habits compound. 10 minutes of meditation today, 10 minutes of planning tomorrow, a short walk or a stretch the next day. Over weeks and months, these small actions build discipline, focus, and clarity. They build identity. They build confidence. By the time others are waking up and reacting to the chaos, you are already creating your life. You are already winning the first battle of the day, the battle of attention, focus, and intention. This is why your mornings matter more than anything else. Because how you start determines not just how your day unfolds, but who you become over time. And when you master the morning, you master the momentum of your life. Here's the final piece of the puzzle that most people overlook. Consistency is the secret power of transformation. It is not talent. It is not luck. It is the simple act of showing up for yourself every single morning, day after day, without exception. Imagine a tiny seed planted in fertile soil. You water it once and then forget about it. Nothing happens. You water it inconsistently and growth is slow and uneven. But water it consistently every day and slowly, almost imperceptibly, it begins to sprout, to grow, to reach toward the sun. That seed becomes a tree. That tree becomes shelter, shade, and strength. Your morning routine works the exact same way. Every morning you follow through on your habits. You send a message to your brain. I am someone who follows through. I am someone who takes control. I am someone who shapes their life. That identity built in silence before the world even stirs begins to define you. And here is what is extraordinary. Once you establish that identity, your decisions throughout the day begin to align naturally. You waste less energy on distractions. You act with focus. You prioritize what matters most without hesitation. Your confidence grows not from fleeting motivation, but from repeated proof that you can follow through. Think about it, the world is full of people chasing shortcuts, waiting for inspiration, hoping for luck. But the people who consistently succeed understand a deeper truth: life is won in the small, quiet, intentional moments. And mornings are the most powerful of all those moments. The beauty of this is that it does not require perfection. Some days will be harder than others. Some mornings you will feel tired, unmotivated, or distracted. The power comes from showing up anyway, because showing up once is a choice. Showing up repeatedly builds momentum. Showing up for months and years builds a life that others can only admire. And when you look back, you realize that transformation did not come from a single dramatic event. It came from hundreds of mornings where you made a choice to lead your life instead of reacting to it, to start your day with intention instead of letting it start for you, to build habits that aligned with your highest vision. That is the power of a morning routine. Not a quick fix, not a temporary burst of energy, but a consistent daily commitment to yourself, your growth, and your life. And when you embrace that, when you take control of your mornings, you no longer live by default. You live by design. You create momentum, you become unstoppable.